Night of Champions, or Night of some Champions, has come and gone. We got the results in. Not a lot of my predictions came through. In fact, I actually did a lot worse than I thought. But you know what? Let's just talk about it. So, Night of Champions. First round that we had was Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton to win the King of the Ring 2025 crown. Now, the match itself was actually really good. Obviously, you got the mentor versus, a former student. Cody Rhodes obviously being the top babyface. Randy Orton being a leader of the locker room. In itself, it was a really, really great match. Both superstars definitely laid it all out there. Very hard hitting. Multiple times we saw Randy Orton, looks like he was favoring his back a lot. He had a lot of weird issues with, it looks like he obviously tweaked it in some type of way. So obviously it was interesting though because of that fact, because Cody Rhodes was a lot more aggressive in this match. We saw a little bit of a different side of the American Nightmare. Very much willing to kind of utilize those injuries and utilize those moments. And here's something that I found really interesting. During the match at one point, Randy obviously took over the match, and he had a perfect opportunity to punt kick Cody, and he hesitated. He hesitated really, really bad. And it's really interesting to see Randy kind of do that. But Cody had no problem taking the kind of I hate to say it this way, but the easier way out, and specifically targeting that back over and over. So between a few RKOs, a couple of Cody cutters, and eventually a couple of crossroads, Cody Rhodes did come out on top as your King of the Ring for this year. One other important aspect I want to point out about this was Orton had this stare of was he going to attack Cody potentially? Was he about to let the Randy Orton of old kind of come back out here in a minute? I had some friends over, we were watching it, and we were kind of waiting, because he kind of lingered around while Cody did his little press conference in the middle of the ring, talking about, he praised Randy and stuff like that. But it was just really weird to see, because I think even Randy was surprised at the fact that Cody went to the length that he did to win that. So I don't know, it's a very interesting moment, and I personally can't wait to see the fallout of that one. But this was a prediction I got wrong, only because also I kind of was already on the hesitant side of it could have went either way. I just picked Randy because personally I wanted Randy to win. I did want Randy to take this one. I think he deserved it. But I guess story-wise, we're shifting more to Cody, kind of showing more of those breaks in his superhero persona. That face, of Cody is starting to kind of crack here a little more. But let's move on to the next match. And the next match was a very hard-hitting match between Rhea Ripley and Raquel Rodriguez of the Judgment Day. Now, this match was a street fight, and these two, this is probably, to me personally, probably the most physical match of the night. These ladies tore the house down when it came to how hard they were hitting each other, from the stairs to the tables. Raquel also very much was in control of a lot of this match. She had Rhea on the ropes, literally at one point, by tying Rhea into the ropes and beating her with a kendo stick into her ribs, which we did confirm that later on, Rhea does have some bruised ribs right now after this match, so Raquel definitely did her job. But it was really weird to see that Raquel had full control of this fight, and it kind of made me a little sad that she didn't end up winning. So that is the factor here, that Rhea did win this one. I didn't feel like Rhea needed the win. I don't think she did. I really kind of wished they did go with Raquel Rodriguez, and that says a lot for me because I love Rhea Ripley. She's one of my favorites, and this is in no disrespect to her, but I don't think she needed this win. But there's always the possibility that maybe this is going to light a match under Raquel Rodriguez. I did predict Roxanne Perez coming out and actually trying to aid her. She did help a lot, but it just wasn't enough against the Eradicator. Rhea took control at one point. She was able to place a trash can well over top of Perez, and then she just knocked her senseless. It was actually a pretty interesting moment. And at one point, we know the golden rule in WWE: if you set the table up, it's going to be your downfall. So, and that's unfortunately what happened here. Raquel ended up setting up a table near the end of the match, right on top of like near where the turnbuckle is. So it was a really weird place to put it. And she then attempted to try to throw Rhea into it, but she ended up having her face thrown into it. Rhea was able to power her up, get her on top of the table, which also was a very scary moment here, because I was like, this could lead to a lot of injuries if this goes wrong. But she ended up hitting her with essentially her special move right off the top, like a super variation of it. Other interesting callback is we did see her also use the Razor's Edge on Raquel at some point in the match. But yep, she hit her with a super Riptide, completely pinning and destroying any chances of Raquel coming back. So now I really want to say that I do think Raquel should have took this match. I think that to help establish the fact that Raquel is basically, she is also very much a powerhouse. She for once has only been regulated as like Liv's power, Liv's muscle to help her in moments of need. I don't feel that she needed to lose here. I think she should have won. I think I would have established Raquel as a stronger competitor, and also I think it wouldn't have did anything to Rhea. Rhea's already like hot off the presses here. So, but it is what it is. Mommy took the win. Let's move on. The next match was actually one that I was actually really looking forward to, and I'm gonna be real with you, I wasn't disappointed in it in any way except for the result. It was Karrion Kross versus Sami Zayn. Now, first off, if you haven't seen Karrion Kross entrance, you gotta watch it. It's such a cool entrance. With him coming out there and having his lovely wife Scarlett come to the ring and just sit in that ring and just tell everyone, you know, the end is near. They're all bow and pray, bow and pray. It was such a, I love it. It's such a cool theatric, like, you gotta see it yourself. But Kross came out and Sami followed suit and the match began. And these two were hard hitting in every way. Now, Kross did control a lot of this match. You know, he had Sami in multiple lockups. He was beating Sami down, consistently also yelling at Sami, telling him how he was right, that he's a failure, that Sami's not going to get anything. Continuing to push those buttons at Sami Zayn. Which, this is what I'm going to tell Kross. Clearly you haven't watched the Sami Zayn match. The more you put him down, the more he gets back up, you know? There's a reason that they used to call him the underdog from the underground. And that's unfortunate what happened here. Kross at one point had a really good lockup on him, and we call it I believe it's called the Kross Jacket. He locked him up, middle of the ring, almost looked like he was going to choke him out. Sami was able to get to the ropes. One point though, Kross then re-controlled the match. It was a very physical match. These two were really hitting it hard. But at one point, Kross got a little too cocky and ended up eating a haluva kick after he went for one too many. I don't even know what the turnbuckle is, but he kind of like attacks. He keeps like running into him, attacking him against the turnbuckle. But one too many times, he hit him in the corner. Sami was able to rally, hit him with a haluva kick right in his face, and was able to pin Kross. Is this the end of this feud? Absolutely not. I don't think so in any way. This is definitely going to continue, and we will probably see a fallout of it on Monday Night Raw. So I'm looking forward to see where this goes for that. The one thing I'm also going to point out is there was a lot of weird back and forthing online about people saying that Kross looked like he was a little sloppy or Kross didn't look like he was doing well. All right, I didn't see it. Honestly, I enjoyed the match. I thought it was good. I think it was really, really good. And the way Kross kept eating with the crowd and, you know, getting them on his side, which is interesting. I mean, and this was also like kind of home territory for Sami. But the fact that Kross was still able to like get that crowd up and going him, it shows that the universe really, really wants Sami and Kross not to just be this one-off thing, but Kross to get pushed up higher. I think that we really need to do something here with him. I think that more exposure, more hard-hitting matches are going to definitely push Kross higher, and he definitely needs it. And the fact that these are both two very, very underutilized superstars, you know, very much, you know, end up using Sami for a lot of like fall matches because he hasn't had a lot of wins recently. But I think Sami and him are like two guys that you just got to push. These guys are definitely main event material. I don't see why we're not using them. But again, that's just my opinion. Let's move on. The next match was our first title defense match of the night. It's crazy to think about, right? It's crazy to think that this was the first title defense of the night after we just had these matches prior to it. Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu for the United States Championship. Now in this one, we definitely saw, you know, the fact that, you know, Jacob was already out on it. He was, as he likes to say, all gas, no brakes. You know, he was showing that he was done with babying Solo. He was hard hitting, smacking him everywhere, running all over the place. It was crazy. You know, Solo definitely had some rally moments himself, but it was clear that he just could not put the Samoan Werewolf down himself. So, of course, at some point, JC Mateo ended up coming out. Mateo got involved, ended up getting taken out by by Jacob. Here's the interesting part of this whole thing. I don't understand how the ref didn't see a lot of this. Like, the ref at some point, I guess, he did get knocked out, but it was just interesting because there was a lot of shenanigans here. A lot of shenanigans. Yeah, JC Mateo, and we had the return of the infamous one. Tonga Loa has returned, and he ended up hitting Fatu with his, I guess it's his special. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what his special move is, but he hit him with a special move right from spinning him off the turnbuckle into the mat, but it still wasn't enough to put him down. So they ended up calling in the big guns at that point. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we finally had Hikuleo debut. It was crazy because this man is massive. Finally debuted. And he's also going by a different name. The name he's actually going to be wrestling under is Tala Tonga. So obviously to continue the Tongans' names on there, but Tala Tonga finally debuted. And we had some very interesting spots with him. One point kind of looked like it was a little bit of a minor botch. I really couldn't tell, but it didn't really look too bad. But he put Fatu through the tables. He definitely roughed him up a lot more than I thought. Here's the crazy part. He's the little brother of the Tongans, of Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and I'm sorry. It's gonna take a while for me to get his name right. Tala Tonga. He is the baby. It's crazy. Yeah, but thanks to his help and obviously the interference with the other two, Solo Sikoa has won his first singles championship on the main roster. He is a former North American champion in NXT, but this is his first main roster title. I did not see this happening. I did not see Jacob losing his first title here. Now, does this mean he's obviously gonna end this here? Absolutely not. I could definitely see the Samoan Werewolf is coming back. Now, the question is, how is he going to come back here? I mean, obviously he has some kind of alliance with Jimmy, you know, kind of like a mutual respect there. It was interesting that Jimmy didn't come out here. I don't know why. I'm just kind of confused about that. But yeah, we definitely will see this continuing on. The other thing too is that we had an interesting tweet actually come out from another member of their family, Zilla Fatu. Just a single emote icon of a telephone. Are we finally going to see Zilla show up? I don't know. They've been the teasing and everything with Zilla has been going on since like WrestleMania 40. So, you know, we'll see. All right, next match was our Queen of the Ring final match featuring Jade Cargill and Asuka. Now, I gotta give Jade props here. Her outfit was crazy. It was cool. She came out with a full, like, to me, it reminds me of the old 90s Storm from the animated series. I know there was like another Storm one that was going around. To me, it looks like the 90s animated series X-Men Storm costume, complete with like the little like draping arm pieces. So she looked phenomenal. I'm gonna give her that. Really good. It was a pretty quick back and forth thing. I felt the match was a lot shorter than I thought it was going to be. Maybe, I don't know if it was time constraints, whatever like that. But Asuka definitely had the lead early on. So Asuka came out And she definitely had the advantage at the first part of the match. We definitely saw Asuka really putting it to Jade very, very heavily. But Jade was able to rally at one point. It was really interesting because it shows like both superstars were really here to do their thing. And both superstars definitely both earned the position they were in. But it did end up with Jade Cargill taking the crown for this one. One thing that I found interesting was the fact that we didn't see any interference from Naomi. I was actually expecting Naomi to come out here and try to cost her the Queen of the Ring crown. But ironically enough, she didn't. Jade won this one, which means that Jade will also move on. And just like Cody, will be able to challenge for the championship of her championship of their brand. So Cody will be able to face John Cena again at SummerSlam for that title, and now Jade is moving on to face off against Tiffany for her title. Now, will we see Naomi get involved in that? More than likely, but congratulations, Jade. This was another one that I lost. I did not predict this one, but you know what? I'm not even mad about it. Like I said, when it came to the King and Queen of the Ring matches, they could have went either way for me. I mean, I personally wanted Asuka to win because obviously her returning and everything like that, I thought it would have been a great moment, but it is what it is. All right, the meat and potatoes of the night, the main event. We had the undisputed WWE champion John Cena versus CM Punk. CM Punk. Now, the match as a whole was also full of a lot of shenanigans, but before we get to that, let's talk about the actual match itself. The match itself was really, really good, especially for two guys that are not just up in their age, but definitely superstars that know each other in and out and know how to work each other. And that's the one thing I'll give them. These two have had this rivalry for so long, and the fact that we got to see it relived and revitalized again in this was actually really, really cool. From GTSs to AAs to, you know, STFs to Anaconda Vice grips. You know, these guys were going back and forth. We saw a lot of callbacks, a lot of classic moments with them. It just felt like we went back in time to a time previous to this where Punk was the bad guy and Cena was the good guy. And now we're in like this bizarre world where Punk is the hero and Cena's the bad guy. And, you know, I loved it. It was a great match. You know, we had the kids watching it as well, and the kids were loving it, you know, going back and forth, you know, let's go Cena, CM Punk, let's go Cena, CM Punk. You know, loved it. I loved the back and forth. We did have a moment where obviously, like, you know, there were near fall after near fall after near fall, and at one point it looked like Cena just had enough. He went down there, grabbed the belt, and was ready to strike Punk with it. And in a moment of really interesting hesitation, Cena ends up not using the belt. It's crazy. It was very crazy. Because we've seen Cena time and time again recently, like, use any tactics he can to keep that belt. But this one time, he actually didn't use the belt to strike Punk. And I think it could have been because the crowd was not about it. The crowd was begging him not to do it. And we saw him actually listen to them. Now, was this a tactic to basically try to, you know, get everybody in like a false sense of security? Maybe. But it was interesting because we saw him like put the belt down and then continue to lock back up with Punk. So at one point, the ref ends up getting knocked down, and Punk was able to hit him with a GTS. The count went, but there was nobody there to count. And sure enough, as everyone would have predicted, Mr. Money in the Bank shows up. Seth Rollins and his crew come down to the ring. Braun Breaker, Reed, just mollywops all over these guys. They're just knocking both of them out. You know, at one point, you know, Cena got in Rollins' face, and, you know, Rollins obviously emphasizing the fact that, you know, he's not going to allow Punk in any potential way to win that title. And obviously making his own intentions known, because he actually at one point, as he got into the ring, he calls the ref down. The new ref comes down, and Cena just shoulder charges him into the side of the stairs, which was absolutely hilarious. He blasted this man. I felt so bad for him. And then gets into Rollins' face and tells him, like, you know, you're not doing this to me. And then we saw like a weird like callback to what felt like WrestleMania 40 with like everybody showing up. You had, you know, Breaker and, you know, Braun obviously doing their thing. And at one point, Penta shows up. And Penta makes his way down the ring and starts attacking Breaker. You know, so they start brawling in and out. And then at some point, Sammy shows up. Sammy ends up coming out there and doing the same thing, starting to help them out. Eventually, Penta and Sammy end up both helping take out Breaker. And then at some point, Reed gets shoved off the top rope from hitting Cena with a tsunami by Punk, showing that Punk actually was like, he saved Cena. He saved Cena. And in a moment of what we thought could have been Cena maybe slightly turning around, him and Punk were standing in the middle of the ring. And they embraced each other. Until we saw Cena look at the camera. In the same face that he had when he turned. And he was looking, I imagine there must have been The Rock somewhere just doing the... He had to. Maybe he like envisioned it. And then he ends up betraying Punk, knocking him down. Ref gets back up. 1, 2, 3. Cena wins the belt still. And he gets out of Dodge. He immediately runs out that ring and just leaves. Cena is still our champion. The match itself was really good. I think this was probably one of the best matches that Cena's had this year. Hard hitting, back and forthing, everything like that. The storytelling with like the multiple people coming in and out was really, really good. But yeah, that's kind of it though. You know, we didn't see any additional fallouts. Now I had said that I thought that the Tribal Chief was going to return tonight, but apparently he didn't. So personally, I thought he was going to, just because we knew Rollins at some point was going to come out. So I thought maybe he would come out to cost Rollins his opportunity. But instead, obviously, with Penta and, you know, Sammy coming out, they kind of like interfered with most of it. So yeah, Night of some champions. Night of some champions. So the fallouts are definitely going to be seen, obviously, on the coming shows. I guess we're going to have to wait and see what happens. Coming up next, we do have, obviously, the Saturday night main event. We have the Women's PLE Evolution. So these are going to definitely be some big moments, and we're going to see where things go from there with a lot of the fallouts of these things. Personally, one more note I want to make here is, can we give Seth Rollins a damn name for his stable already? Can we just name this damn stable? It just feels weird that we've gone this far and there's no name at all. Alright, well that's it for this episode. Thank you guys for listening in. Thank you guys for joining me. Hope you guys enjoyed the show as much as I did. I think it was a decent show. But other than that, I have been Lobo Berry Crunch. And I will see you guys in the next video.